If you don't believe in conspiracy, then you shouldn't be looking at the Underground Railroad. The New World Order. Auction and Negro sales. $100. 40 years of Negro men Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Moon posting a flag and playing golf. There are three truths: the dreadful bitter truth, your truth, and the Clifton Bradley Underground Railroad's truth. We as the media, mission, and duty is to make you aware of what's happening in our city, community.
All aboard, come on up Clifton, and beat the drums.
I want to say a mighty hotep to the audience, Brother Raheem Bradley's awesome cable TV show, The Underground Railroad. This is Brother Monsong Kijivu Jivu Kulu Bali, and I am a knowledge gangster, and I appreciate Brother Raheem asking to participate in one of his shows. Today is Sunday, March 25th, in the so-called year of 2018, but people we know is far beyond this Caucasian's time of 2018, but that's another story. We're here at the Washington Park Fieldhouse, 5531 South King Drive, for our regular fourth Sunday in Cobra meeting. In Cobra, which I'm a member of, is the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. We have a Chicago chapter, and we meet here the fourth Sunday. So we're trying to, I wanted to take this opportunity to say Asante Sana to you, Brother Raheem, for your expertise in getting this knowledge out to our people. For as Dr. Karenga has contended, the battle is first for the hearts and minds of our people. For if we lose that battle, we can't hope to win any other. So I'm going to be dropping some knowledge via Kawaida philosophy, dropping knowledge via Garveyism, and a few others.
And you know, before we get started, can you tell us some type of knowledge about Dr. Karenga? Because there's some people that may not have that knowledge.
Yeah, sure. Well, Dr. Karenga represents our long line of activist scholars. This brother is basically from Pennsylvania, but he's been out on the West Coast creating positive action for decades. Dr. Karenga is an activist scholar. He has written several books, Introduction to Black Studies, the Husia, which deals with our ancient spiritual knowledge. He also has other books, Essays on Struggle. He also was a big important figure with the Million Man March back in 1995, and they published the mission statement for the Million Man March. He's done a lot of good things, and of course, out there on the West Coast, his organization, us black folks, as opposed to them, the others who wrecked and ruined our lives, the US organization was very instrumental in starting and continuing the cultural revolution that El Hajj Malik El Shabazz called for in the early 60s. And they had the African American Cultural Center out in Los Angeles, which I've been out there many times. You know, of course, in the early 80s, he sent for me and some others from around the country to participate in a month-long Leadership for Social Change, whole month-long training, which I was very appreciative of. And so Dr. Karenga also created Kwanzaa and has done a lot of work. They're institution builders out there. But I want to use this time to share some insights into our reality. And of course, as Dr. King said, we got to get the language right. Malcolm X used to talk about that. We got to get the language right. Dr. Karenga has helped us do that with construction of Kawaida philosophy. Kawaida is an ongoing synthesis of the best of black nationalists, Pan-Africanists, and socialist thought and practice, and it seeks to delve into, do Sankofa into our African culture, because many of the solutions to our current problems are in that history and in those cultural practices. So Kawaida philosophy is a system of thought, just like Garveyism. And of course, today, not only is in Cobra having its meeting, but down the street on 49th at the Sigma House, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, of which I'm a member, African Communities League, Unit number 429, Division 429, are having their Women's Day program later on this afternoon.
Excuse me, what is the address for individuals that may be interested in joining that organization?
Okay, Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League, Division 429 meets at 4941 South King Drive at the Sigma House.
In Chicago?
Yeah, here in Chicago.
Okay.
And of course in Cobra meets at 5531 King Drive on the fourth Sunday, which is today. Excuse me. Now, this gentleman, the most honorable Marcus Garvey, did us a great service in terms of the entire African world by putting together a bold vision, by putting together a nationalist and Pan-Africanist philosophy that has come to be known as Garveyism. Several books that his wife was able to help get produced, Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Book 1, Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Book 2, Dr. Tony Martin, activist scholar, put together the book Race First. And we also have more philosophy and opinions of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And the brother was just deep. He understood that we have to have a coherent system of views and values, as Dr. Karenga says, that gives us as a people a moral, material, and therefore meaningful interpretation of life and struggle, demanding our allegiance and a corresponding social practice. So philosophy is very important. That's why I want to refer people to Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey said, "Up ye mighty race, you can accomplish what you will." He also gave us wise counsel in the 1920s when he said that the only argument that satisfies man, i.e. the white man, is power, physical, financial, and scientific. This brother was deep. And he just gave us all kind of information that would help stand us up as a people. And the mighty Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League is a grand example of what African people with a Pan-African consciousness can accomplish in this world. And in present day times, Garvey's organization and movement is alive and well. We have chapters all over this country and in other countries. So, also definitely look this brother up. Then, of course, you have the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who comes a little after Garvey with the Nation of Islam, and we know what great work that the messenger did in terms of raising up our people here in the hills of North America. Nation of Islam has an African-centered Islam, which we're very appreciative of. And the messenger gave us wise counsel. He said that our unity would be like an atomic bomb. I mean, the brother was just deep. He said, do for self. And he even taught us how to eat to live. And then, of course, one of the great ones that he raised up, who also had great history, his family and his father and mom and them with the Garvey movement, was El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, Omar Wally. And of course, Malcolm is very inspirational. Malcolm is very inspirational for us. And one of the quotes that I really liked of Malcolm, he said, of all studies, it is history that can best reward our research. And Malcolm also said, we must recapture our African identity and heritage if we ever expect to break the bonds of white supremacy. Malcolm said, we must launch a cultural revolution to unbrainwash an entire people.
You know what I like to ask you when you talk about education?
Yes, sir.
There's an educational system in Chicago that's shutting down black schools. And can you expect your enemy to educate someone that would be competing against them efficiently?
Well, the wrongdoers are going to do what the wrongdoers do. And so as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing says, we have to counter their moves, their white supremacist moves in the basic areas of culture. She identified as politics, economics, education, war, sex, entertainment, and a few other areas of culture. She says like we're on a chessboard, so we have to counter whatever moves the oppressor group makes. Now Dr. Carter G. Woodson, this gentleman, helped us a great deal by focusing on history. And he and his organization, the National Association of the Study of our history, carved out a special place and time for us to focus on our history in the early 20s. I think he did that in 1926. This was called Negro History Week. And we were able, with the Cultural Revolution of Malcolm and Dr. Karenga and the rest of us, we were able to expand that to a month called Black History Month. And so Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, and set us on a path, along with some other scholars, even before him, to understand that education ain't just education, and that we definitely have a challenge with that whole area because the oppressor group wants to keep a monopoly on the minds of black folks. And so in order to break that monopoly, we got to understand history properly and tell our story and not be bamboozled by his story. I know y'all feeling me out there in the audience, right?
In Chicago, do we have something called the Woodson Library, that places that honor him?
Oh yeah, the Carter G. Woodson regional branch just got a long overdue renovation. You know, I haven't been up there yet, but yeah, that's a good place to remember that brother.
Where's it located?
95th and Halsted. You know, so definitely go check that place out. It has a lot of good research and things in it, an auditorium. We have programs up there all the time. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention another one of my mentors. Now, Dr. Karenga has impacted me most definitively, but the late, great Stokely Carmichael, known to us as Dr. Kwame Ture, was one of my early leaders and teachers also. And this brother really set me off when he came back from Africa in 1970. He was on a church over on Ashland, and he said, African youth must be organized with a clear ideological perspective. And something in my head went bing, and I've been out here ever since. Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, Shaka Zulu, they used to call him, gave me my marching papers. And he and Dr. Karenga, and also the Honorable Dr. Bobby Wright was one of my mentors too at the Communiversity here in Chicago in the early 70s. He taught liberation psychology and had a class that really taught us some things. And then I was blessed, and many of us were blessed, to also learn at the Communiversity from this brother, Rua Sanyama Chiri from Zimbabwe. Now, of course, back in the 70s, it was Rhodesia, and the people were struggling to free up the land and get it back to being Zimbabwe and controlled by black folks. But this brother came to America and taught us about Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Toure, all those continental African leaders, and he was a real Pan-Africanist. In fact, I named my first son after him, Marua. That means flower of resistance. And so our people must understand that there's more to our lives than what we've been forced into thinking and doing with our lives. Black folks, we have a collective problem. So we can't let the individualism that is pushed by the Caucasian in America in the capitalist system to throw us off. We need to aggregate our forces. We need to practice the Nguzo Saba. Those are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa that Dr. Karenga and the organization US researched and codified into a system of behavior. Umoja, unity. We need to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Kujichagulia, self-determination. to define ourselves, name ourselves, speak for ourselves, rather than having those things done for us by others. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. Then there is Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build our own businesses, shops and other businesses together and profit from them together. Then, of course, the principle Nia, or purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community, restoring our people to their traditional greatness. Then you have Kuumba, creativity, that we should do always as much as we can in the way we can to make our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we came into it. Excuse me. And then finally, Imani, faith, to believe with all our hearts, and our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our people, in the righteousness and victory of our historic struggle for freedom from want, toil, and domination at the hands of others. All of this is Kawaida philosophy that I'm spitting. And you can definitely contact the US organization out in Los Angeles, www.organizationus.org, or you can go to www.maulana.karenga.org. He writes articles regularly for the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, very mind-expanding articles, and that's one way you can be in touch with them. So we have a slew of people, both men and women, and with this being what we call March, we don't refer to it as Women's History Month. The organization US projects it as Black History Month Part 2, where we focus on our women. So this sister, the Honorable Nina Simone, I actually had a chance to meet this lady at a protest rally down in Cairo, Illinois back in 1969. I was 18 years old. I was a Luke Junior College student, and we went down with the Black Student Union. The Honorable James L. Satterfield was the student leader at that time, and we took a bus down there, and I remember they had a machine gun on top of the police building. Them crackers down there were crazy. And I remember meeting Nina Simone. She came all the way and would join the protests, and she was awesome. Then you have, we must remember this lady, the Honorable Fannie Lou Hamer of Mississippi. She said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And she said, we should always remember where we came from. And, remember the bridges that brought us over. You know, it's a deep sister here. Then we have another sister, directly tied to reparations, the Honorable Queen Mother Moore out of New York. Now this lady was awesome. In fact, I got a chance to meet her at a program that Rua Chiri and the United Africans for One Motherland International here in Chicago back in the early, mid-70s had a program, and we were at Dunbar High School, and I got a chance to actually escort Queen Mother Moore down the aisle to the stage. And this lady was into reparations, and you know, we owe her a special debt of gratitude for all that work. We have many heroes and sheroes in the struggle. Dr. Betty Shabazz, Shirley Chisholm, Asada Shakur, who's still with us. We got all kind of great women. It is said that our women hold up half our sky, so we must treat them properly. You hear that, brothers? And sisters, we need strong sisterhoods. Don't be calling each other these bad names. You know, I substitute in the high school, so I'm around the young people a lot. And I'll be trying to check and challenge them and urge them to kind of, you know, elevate their consciousness and their behavior, because we got to get away from all this popular culture. See, Dr. Karenga has identified popular culture versus national culture. And he definitely says that the battle is first for the hearts and minds of our people. For we lose that battle, Brother Raheem, we can't hope to win any other. So the cultural revolution urges us to overturn weakness, you know, bust out of this colonial mentality that we have. That's what culture does, cultural revolution. We got to practice our values and not just be misdirected by the values of individualism, material acquisitiveness, and all that stuff that the Caucasian pushes.
Excuse me, so the political system, as it stands, is not going to get the masses out of the situation that we're in, would you say?
Well, our politics can't be the same as their politics, you see. And that's what Bobby Wright told us. He said, we can't deal with their definitions to free us. We have to have the self-determination to speak our own special cultural truth. And so our politics goes far beyond just the electoral system. There's some things we have to do with our vote, but we must do the economics also, as Minister Farrakhan said. He said, politics without economics is symbol without substance. You know, so we have to understand that we have a lot of things we got to do. Our struggle is a cultural struggle. We're battling on many different fronts in terms of culture. Politics, economics, education, you know, our family life and how we structure ourselves and our relationships with one another, our spirituality. We got to bust up out of that colonial, because you know the white man colonized religion. You know, he didn't leave religion alone, so we got to be very careful with how we deal with that. So we have to build black power, and we have to build it using a cultural focus. You know, are we doing pretty good?
We're doing great.
And I've done, you know, some cable TV shows, and y'all might have seen me before doing some things with the cable TV.
And how can they get in contact with you when you can get on some more cable shows? What's your number and your email address?
Well, you can reach me at 773-624-4453. I'm a culture worker, a knowledge gangster, and I would be remiss in my duty if I didn't show y'all a picture of one of the, actually, all of these people are knowledge gangsters, but I got this one photo that I want to show, if I can, oh yeah. We must always remember this man, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. He was one of the original knowledge gangsters. Him and Brother Minister Farrakhan and Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, you know, all them brothers were knowledge gangsters. And we just have a slew of people, both men and women, who are knowledge gangsters and who are trying to educate our people the right way. What I'd like to do is drop some more quotes from some of our great ones. And Kwame Nkrumah, when he was trying to unite Africa, see, when he got Ghana free, he wasn't satisfied with that. He said that the liberation of Ghana is meaningless unless it's hooked up with the total liberation and unification of Africa. So he wasn't just concerned with Ghana, that whole African continent, and that's what Pan-Africanism deals with. Pan, P-A-N, means all Africans. The 100 million in Brazil, the 60 million here in America, the African populations in other countries, and also on that continent. We 1 billion strong, y'all, but we got to understand who we really are. We can't let the little micro-nationalisms undo us, you know. We have to understand that we have to unite that continent. And of course, Nkrumah defined Pan-Africanism as the total liberation and unification of Mother Africa under all African socialist government. He said that capitalism is too complicated for Africa. Plus, it's exploitative. Capitalism is cold-blooded, y'all. Profit by any means necessary doesn't bode well for the masses of the people. And of course, Nkrumah talked about neo-colonialism and how we got to watch out for that. You know, in fact, we have Dr. Chinwezu Ibekwe, who wrote the book, The West and the Rest of Us. And he's a real sharp brother on the continent in terms of activist scholarship. So we are still continuing our historic struggle to be free, proud, and productive like we used to be a long time ago. And so the fight for reparations is an important one. A crime was committed, a crime against humanity, no question. And we are long overdue repair resources in terms of African people worldwide. So we have some structural capacity. You have the CARICOM group in the Caribbean that's pushing for reparations from England and all them countries that, you know, did them wrong. We have a similar organization that Dr. Ron Daniels and the IBW is, you know, put together, and Cobra and other reparation forces in this country sit on that council. And again, we have chapters in different cities. The Honorable Dorothy Tillman did great work. Of course, Dr. Claude Anderson, and we have other forces out here. So our people must understand that the fight for reparations is not, we're not asking for a handout. A crime was committed. And we are overdue in terms of repair. And our definition of reparations, y'all might want to write this down. And Cobra, which is an authoritative source on reparations, says that reparations is first and foremost a process of repairing, healing, and restoring a people damaged or injured due to their group identity and in violation of their fundamental human rights by governments, corporations, institutions, families like those slave-holding plantation families, and also individuals like John Burge, tortured, you know, the black people. Reparations is due from all of those forces, negative forces. And so it's not just money payments, that's part of it. We need psychological services in terms of what was done to us. You know, so it's a lot of things with a reparation package.
Okay. Got any finishing words you would like to say?
Yeah, just that our people must understand that, you know, we can win. You know, we can win this ongoing historic struggle because truth is on our side. And we must kick to the curb all negative forces. We have a just struggle. Kwame Ture said, organize, organize, organize. He said that oppression and resistance to oppression will always be. Asante Sana, thank you very much for listening to me.
And you know what, can you give your contact information one more time? Okay,
you can reach me, Brother Mansong. In fact, you can go to YouTube and, you know, check me out. Go to YouTube and put in my last name, Coulibaly Speaks.
Could you spell that?
K-U-L-U-B-A-L-L-Y. Coulibaly Speaks. You'll get me for an hour. In fact, the great Mark Sims hooked that interview up at the Black Star Project back in 2010. And it's a wealth of information, you know, that I'm dropping in that video. 773-624-4453. And Brother Raheem, you're an awesome brother, man.
Praises to God.
Asante Sana. Right on.
All right, I want to thank you for accepting to be a guest on Underground Railroad television show. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30, and this will be on YouTube. Thank you.
Okay, Asante. Right on.